YouTube.com/NFL. And with that, Shaun, I tried to get you in. Sorry for the delay, but the floor is yours now to go at it with Bull.
Go ahead, Shaun. What do you got? What do you got for me?
I don't have a problem with Bull. He's just kind of the tree that got hit by the lightning. But the lightning is intended for mass media pertaining to sports as a whole.
Okay.
Here's why quarterback evaluation is so murky and cloudy. Because sports media doesn't keep score. So influence and power is based on platform, not resume. That's why the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is the best thing going, because you guys have a QB whisperer, guru, expert whose resume is immaculate when it comes to evaluating the quarterback position. So I want to use Bull as a tree that gets hit by the lightning. The next time I tell you something about a quarterback, whatever you think, just ignore your own opinion and just say, okay, I'm going to go with what Shaun said. And the next time you attack my guy G because he agrees with me, we're going to have a real problem. So now that we got all that out the way, okay, let's talk.
Now, Shaun, all right, I like the aggressiveness. I appreciate a good fight and a good argument. And I like
it's not aggressive, it's fact.
I like your analogy.
Can he at least be an oak tree?
Now, tell me, can you please tell me one thing I said about Jameis that was unfair?
No, you just were you are a non-believer. You were stuck in the narrative that the Browns need a change at quarterback, that they need to fix the quarterback position. And the quarterback whisperer was already telling you they don't have a top half of the league quarterback. And then you went to getting on your phone and, well, let me go down the list and let me disagree with the guru. So what I'm doing is I'm explaining to you, if you take your non-quarterback evaluating self out of it and just listen to the expert in this particular subject, then we can move on and fix the Browns.
But here's the truth, Shaun, that most former players, unlike me, listen, I'm not debating you know more about football than I do. I'm not an idiot.
No, it's not about that. It's not about that. Here's why I'm going to cut you off. This is why Deion Sanders has been so successful at Colorado, and nobody realizes it. He's so secure in who he is, he's not afraid to hire Warren Sapp and Phil Lodeholt and all these former NFL guys and bring their expertise in to help teach the kids. See, most of the time in the coaching business at the college level, these head coaches won't bring those guys in because they are big personalities, because they have big opinions, because they have a lot of experience. So it's not anything about me playing, you not playing. It's about my track record evaluating this position.
But you would admit that players often are biased or unafraid. I'm not talking about you specifically, but a lot of times former players, when they get into the media, are biased based on relationships they may have or afraid to be critical of certain players. And some former players won't be critical of anybody at all because of this brotherhood of being in the league. So often, there's a lot of former players that lose some credibility because of that, in my opinion. And I don't feel like you're one of those people, but that happens with a lot of former players.
So shout out to my guy, Jay Crawford, for being a great evaluator of former football talent and sports media. Appreciate you, Jay. Jay's always seen that I don't fit into that bubble. And Bull, what I want
and I was going to come to your defense, but you don't.
No,
need
I wasn't
any
saying that.
No,
with him.
Bull correctly pointed out that you're not that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've worked with thousands of them. 95% of them are that guy.
Yes, 100%.
You, Shaun, and that's why I've always been your biggest advocate.
Absolutely.
You are not that guy. And when you came into the business, day one, you were not that guy. That's why I love you. You're not afraid to throw darts when they need to be thrown.
And let me put an exclamation point on what I'm saying with Bull here. Because, Bull, you got into it in one of the O-linemen. I saw something on Twitter from the Browns. He's out for the year. So did you see him at you on Twitter?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you know how you called him by name? Stop being afraid to call the former athletes by name that you're referring to. When I first came on here, I went at Dan Orlovsky when I first came on here.
You did.
I got no respect for Dan Orlovsky getting on ESPN and being, and how do I put this, and being unable to call a spade pertaining to Aaron Rodgers, and then getting on national TV and say it's not my job to critique a Hall of Famer. I wasn't near that player. Right. I don't respect that, and I put addresses on it. Stop being afraid to call people out by name.
Well, first of all, Shaun, Sean, I name names all the time. To the detriment of my own career, I ripped
to players, not media, not former athletes in media.
Hold on. I've ripped a million former athletes. I will, just not in this specific case.
Sean, I will give you. There's multiple people that he has said something about. Actually, some of it could have cost him a little money. Like there's a couple people named he mentioned that was like, I don't know if I can mess with you.
I've 100% cost myself opportunities by ripping people.
You guys are awesome.
So listen, we don't need to keep going with that. Trust me, I'm not afraid to rip specific. The only reason I said former players is because most of them do. I'd have to go through a laundry list of hundreds of guys, not including you and a couple of others. Leroy Horde, who we have on.
Good too.
Leroy's also not afraid to rip people. But that
Yeah, I'm not going to. My kids need shoes, man.
But what I'll say, what I'll say,
shoes.
Yeah,
Sean, all I'll say about Jameis Winston, and I think this is unfair, because you called me a hater last week, right? And I'm not a hater of Jameis Winston. I'm not at all. I just don't see a rush to give him a contract extension right now. I want to see him play out the rest of the year. If I were running the Browns, obviously they have information that I don't. They know Jameis. I don't know him personally, obviously. If I were the GM of the Browns or the owner of the Browns, I'd have information about Jameis that I don't. But based on the knowledge I have, watching his career, seeing him play this year, what I've heard from him publicly, certainly not enough information to make a full judgment on him. But only thing I'm saying about Jameis is right now, he's the best option for this team to win football games. That's obvious. There's no debate about that. I think, in my opinion, there's a chance that will still be the case next year. But I don't see the rush in signing him right now as opposed to waiting till the end of the season, considering all my options. And if in that case, once I've considered all my options, I think Jameis is still the best guy for the job, then absolutely signing him at that point.
Sean,
that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he sucks.
But Sean,
Never
isn't
said
the
that.
risk of doing that, once he gets through the season and he's healthy, his value, considering he plays the same level that he has, his value is only going to go up each week. And at the end of the season, when he hits free agency, he can talk to all the teams, not just the Browns, about an extension. Don't you run the risk of then having him hit the open market?
Jay, here's where you got to be careful with guys like Bull, because they're orators. You know, they went to journalism school. They got this pen. They can change. They move the goalposts on you. They try to change the narrative. There's not one clip that Mikey can go pull up where I said the Browns should extend Jameis' contract.
No, these guys did.
No, I brought that up
They did.
Monday.
That's why I brought it
up. I said
I
Monday.
never said that.
I said Monday that the Browns have an advantage right now if they decide that he is the guy. And to Bull's point, I don't think there's any argument that he's their best option right now. And then you start looking at, okay, well, where is a future quarterback going to come from? They come from the draft and free agency. We went through the list of available free agents next year. It is ugly.
Nobody is paying Jameis Winston big money at the end of the season.
I know they're not.
You guys know that. Come on.
No, I never said big money.
You said 3 years, $45 million.
No, that's not big money for a quarterback.
Nobody's paying him that. Nobody's giving him a 3-year contract.
I gave an
Nobody
example.
even wanted him this year.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is he's Joe Flacco, but 10 years younger. Flacco had
and nobody paid Joe Flacco either.
No, because he's 40. Jameis is 30. So my question to you on all of this is, and I know you're saying you're not advocating doing that, is there value if the Browns do believe that this is their bridge to the future? Do you risk him hitting the open market when all the teams can bid on him, or do you make him an offer now and just see what it will cost?
You have 2 months between the end of the season and free agency. By the way.
You know, it's interesting because Bull said he's not a Jameis hater, but for a guy that don't like Corvettes, you sure drive a Corvette often. I would say this: if I was Jameis, I wouldn't be interested in the contract extension. Not now.
Bet on yourself, right?
Right. Yeah, the price of the brick is only going up.
So would you sign another?
Shout out to Marlo.
Right, because here's the part. Here's the part that I think people they see it, but they don't acknowledge the value that's attached to it. Not only is Jameis capable of being an elite quarterback, and he's showing it physically, he's what you dream of from a leadership standpoint.
Yes.
His intangibles are through the roof. Like, he has a team that was desolate, that had given up on the season, all of a sudden believing in themselves and being motivated to go out and win for each other. Like,
but Shaun,
there's
if
no
that's
value on that.
But then why did nobody want him coming into this year?
Hold on. Let me just jump. Let me just jump in here real quick and just give, because you said something that I want to drill down on. Before Jameis Winston, when they brought Jameis Winston in here, he was a consummate pro. He was a backup. He said, my job here is to support Deshaun Watson at every level, right? He supported him. He rallied the team. When Deshaun Watson got hurt, he stood up for his teammate and said, hey, when they was booing, he stood up for his teammate and said, nah, we're not going to do that. And then what he did is was able to come back the next week and then get the fan base back and say, you know what, I said what I said because I believe in going back for my teammate, but let me tell you something. We need you guys to be with us so we can win. He rallied the locker room and then gave you 2 wins against teams that are in your division that are primetime rivals with the Steelers, and the way he did that with the Ravens. He took a locker room with people that looked disinterested in playing, who wanted to leave, and now they are rallying around him, talking good football. Hold on.
Okay.
You don't got to argue. Let's and let me get my money.
You and Jay did say 2 weeks ago that the team quit, but okay.
I mean, listening.
I thought they did it in New Orleans.
Listening is a skill.
Yeah, all right.
It's a hard one.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying to you is, you can rattle off all the stats that you want. To the people in that locker room and to the people that's rallying around Jameis Winston, there are some things you can't dig up in stats. There's some things that are intangible, and leadership is one of his best qualities. The man has come in here and he's changing things around. All I'm saying, and the people that seeing Jameis Winston is saying, is you've been devoid of leadership. You've been devoid of production. You were infighting. It was a civil war. And the dude came in when people would fall and other quarterbacks would come in here and take these L's. He's put it together, and now the Cleveland Browns look like a semblance of an offense. Receivers catch the ball. Offensive linemen are blocking. And now Kevin Stefanski is no longer talking about getting fired. I think that guy's worth giving a little, just a peek to, little respect. That's all I'm saying.
Well said, G.
I agree. So, Shaun, explain to me, please, why, if he's all these things, he's a short thing, why did no team want him to be a starter this year?
Who cares?
Well, because,
it's a reasonable question.
Coming off of, yeah, it is. It's very reasonable. So here's what happens. First,
Minnesota?
Well,
the Raiders?
Minnesota chose.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
Darnold.
what team needed a starting quarterback?
There were 5 or 6 teams that you could have argued going into the season, and none were interested in him.
Yeah, but he hadn't done anything. He's been hurt in New Orleans.
He's hurt.
Oh, but all I'm saying is now he's being talked about as if he's a sure thing. And
he's not a sure thing.
He's not a sure thing. He's the best thing we have.
But no, Shaun's saying he's a sure thing. I think, right?
Oh, I am 100%.
Saying he has the ability to be elite.
No. He said he's a sure thing.
Yeah, it's a great.
So
it's
if he's a sure thing, why did nobody else want him? I'm just asking.
It's his opinion. It's a hot take that he's got.
And all I'm doing is asking why. That's not an unfair question.
Bull, it's not an unreasonable question at all, and it's also one of the biggest issues pertaining to why some NFL teams have success and some don't. They stink at evaluating the quarterback position. Sam Darnold was a backup in Sam Darnold was a backup in San Francisco last year. He also has failed at 3 other spots. Baker Mayfield didn't succeed when he left Cleveland. He went to Carolina and sucked. So sometimes it takes these guys longer to turn into a consistently winning quarterback.
And Shaun, let me ask you a question. Shaun, let me ask you a question. First off, are you being held hostage right now?
He's worried about where you are right now. Blink twice if you need help.
So Dustin, we just moved into a new crib, and so I have young kids. So I'm in the garage because it's impossible.
I know. I can tell. I can see your stuff behind you. I'm just messing with you. I see the thing. But no, I do have a question.
On the question of why did everybody pass? Well, why did everybody pass on Tom Brady? Why did everybody pass on Brock Purdy? To your point, the league sucks at evaluating quarterbacks.
That's not a good comparison. Those guys are coming out of college.
My man Dustin
Davis has done more.
Can we put it? My man Dustin. Hold on. Dustin had a question.
Yeah, Dustin is asking a question.
Go ahead.
Just in terms of Jameis, I mean, like, Darnold signed a 1-year deal with Minnesota this year for $10 million. Yep. Jameis signed here 1 year, $4 million. Correct. Okay, he's a free agent next year.
So Flacco got the same deal in Indy, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, to like, you're asking the question, why did nobody want him? Like next year, someone's going to offer him more than $10 million for next season.
But nobody's offering him a 3-year contract.
I don't know. I don't know.
I can't imagine, but we'll see.
Okay.
So
the Browns are
what,
3-8? 3-8. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's 2-2.
That's 11 games, which means we've got 6 more to play.
That's right.
Okay, after another 6 games.
So what's wrong with waiting for another 6 games?
Oh, we're saying like extend him tomorrow?
That's what they were saying.
Yeah,
I mean, let me ask you this: what if he goes 4-2?
No.
And he finishes the season?
Well, I think
you could still sign him at the end of the year. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But we heard Shaun say this too. With each
the price of the brick going up, bull.
The price of the bricks are going up. Yeah. And we don't have a lot of luxury because we're paying a guy that's not going to see the field $85 million.
Also, but dude, Jameis is a different guy. You know, like I truly think he loves it here and wants to be here.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
We talked about that Monday.
I think he's like Ramirez.
Yeah.
You know, loves being in Cleveland.
Until Las Vegas offers him way more money.
No. Yeah, but
players love money.
Again, this is the question. I totally forgot because you guys were like going 85 directions.
Yeah.
You played quarterback. How much from that position did it matter when you got with a coordinator or a quarterback coach that called the plays, that put you in a system to let you have success? Like you brought up, Darnold had failed everywhere he'd been. Baker failed after he left Cleveland. And then Baker gets into a system where he starts to thrive. Like how much does that matter to your position?
So one or two things has to happen, right? You have to be such an elite talent that the coordinator does not have a choice, meaning Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, like the owner not going to allow you to screw that talent up, right? The other thing is consistency. A Peyton Manning, who had Tom Moore and Howard Mudd, the OC and O-line coach, the first decade of his career. So like it's generally those two things. Everybody that's in the middle is kind of rolling the dice a little bit because, and just for context, here's how I separate play callers. I don't like guys that have a system. I like guys that have schemes. And here's what I mean by that. A system means that this is all you know, this is all you run. If it doesn't work, we got to get different players. Schemes is Andy Reid. When we got Tyreek Hill and prime Travis Kelce, we could do one thing. When we don't re-sign Tyreek Hill, but we bring in Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, we can turn into another. When all our receivers are hurt and we got Kareem Hunt, who Dustin loves, we can turn the team into another kind of team. Like, so a lot of guys calling plays don't have schemes, they got systems. So to the quarterback point, and here's why I've criticized the Bears so significantly. How can you hire an OC in Shane Waldron, having the number 1 pick, and then have so little faith in him that you fire him midway through the rookie season?
Yeah.
Because now you set your rookie quarterback back. Now instead of Caleb being able to self-critique and kind of self-scout this all, he got to learn a new system. Like these organizations just don't know what they're doing.
I'm curious, Shaun, on that vein, to drill down on that a little more.
Hopefully that answers your question, Dustin. Sorry.
No, it's a great answer, and I wouldn't know because all I needed was a hand signal.
And yeah,
you know, my man or zone.
Let's say there's 100 quarterbacks in the NFL, whatever, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that all 100 in the right scenario could be successful, or is it just 50? Is it like where does that line? Or do you think every quarterback that's good enough to actually make the NFL in the right system could have at least some level of success?
I think the NFL is in a predicament because of supply and demand.
Okay.
Right? And here's where I think the Browns have to be really careful. Because you need something doesn't mean that year's draft class has it.
That's true.
We say that all the time.
And so you got a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL because teams have had a needed quarterback and they just decide to draft whatever's available at a premium. Mm-hmm. And then now you got a lot of guys, your Zach Wilsons, your Kenny Pickett's, your guys that never, ever, ever, ever should have been first-round picks floating around the league.
Right.
Because of simple supply and demand. And that's what the Browns better be careful because this is not a good QB class for this draft.
No. So you don't think, just to clarify, you don't like Zach Wilson and Kenny Pickett. I mean, we think they stink, but Do you agree, or do you think there is some coaching staff that could make them a decent quarterback? No,
I don't think so. See, I'm a big guy on college resume, and unless you're in a situation where you're sitting behind like a Heisman winner or something, when you've played multiple years in college and you were only good 1 year, especially when it was a 21-plus year because of COVID, I'm very skeptical of you being a good player.
So do you think Daniel Jones could still be a starter in the league with the right coach?
Daniel Jones not a good player.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with that.
Daniel Jones threw 24 touchdowns as a rookie. He's been living off of that ever since. First of all, he's never been able to stay healthy. Secondly, I think his touchdown totals, listen to this, guys. He got paid $150 million after throwing for, I think it was 11, 10, and 15 touchdowns.
Yeah, that was nuts.
His second, third, and fourth year. Like, he got that deal off a 15 touchdown season.
That's insane.
Not saying stats are all, just the facts of the facts. Like, come on.
He's not wrong.
Last thing real quick, I know we got to go, Mike. Is there a quarterback?
Nah, don't rush me. Y'all gave Leroy all my time. Hell no.
Yeah, that's true.
Talk to me nice.
Mike's trying to rush you.
Yeah.
Mike's trying to rush you.
I'm returning my time.
Sean, these guys wanted to talk 5 minutes of fantasy football and took it away from you.
That's true. That's true. Did you now I forgot my question.
Sorry, man.
Damn it.
There was another
you know what it's
quarterback
like
I wanted to ask him about.
We're talking about Daniel Jones.
Here's the question. Has there been a quarterback that came into the league that you thought was not going to be good and turned out to be good with the right coach, or vice versa? A guy you thought was going to be good, maybe at first you thought it was bad coaching, but he just turned out to be not good. Is there an example of either?
Absolutely. I think I didn't misevaluate him, but I thought his ceiling was much lower than it ended up being, was Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm just telling you, if you go back and look at Patrick Mahomes' college tape at Texas Tech,
Did you think?
you don't see what he's you don't see what he's become, if you're being honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like to me, the one is like Josh Allen, man. I watched a lot of his stuff at Wyoming, and he was good. I mean, he had all the traits, but it just, like, I don't know. The numbers weren't there. And he played in the Mountain West. I don't know. But, I mean,
so what's interesting?
Ridiculous.
So what's interesting about Josh Allen? He's successful because of the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, if people remember this, they drafted Josh Allen, but they started Tyrod Taylor, and they let him learn. And then when Josh Allen played, he wasn't very good the first year and a half.
Yeah, I remember people were writing him off already.
Yeah, they didn't panic, and they were very clear with their fan base. We've got a young quarterback that we're going to let develop in front of us, and we're going to have patience with him.
Sounds like a smart
We're not going to panic.
What a great plan.
We're not going to get frustrated if he doesn't have early success. We're going to play him. We're going to keep developing him and coaching him. And I thought him and Brian Daboll, who I think were together from the time he was drafted, had a really good chemistry. He had consistency and system.
And you know what's stupid, Sean? I never understood this. There have been so many teams in recent years that start the season saying they're going to do that they're not going to start their rookie quarterback right away. And they use some veteran backup. And in a lot of cases, those veterans are not very good. And then they end up playing the rookie in week 3 or 4, which if he wasn't ready week 1, I don't see how he's ready week 3 or 4. But they end up starting him because the starter gets hurt, or because he's not playing well. Well, if the reason you didn't start him in the first place is because you wanted him to learn, like you're saying, hey, sit, watch, learn these things, well, then playing him because the starter got hurt or because the starter stinks doesn't really make sense, but they do that.
Desperate.
So it's a multitude of actual real answers for this. Number one is ownership.
Yeah.
You've got the owners now that want to be celebrities. So how do you become a celebrity fast? From an ownership standpoint, I'm not talking about the old school guys, the Rooneys, and these guys have been there forever. I'm talking about all these new owners. You get involved with the quarterback decision, right? You act like you're responsible for him being here and his success. Secondly, guys just don't know what they're doing. Like it also comes with the coach. How much security does the coach have? A lame duck coach does not want a rookie quarterback,
Right?
Because he's probably not going to win, and he won't be here when the kid gets good.
That's true.
So I think organizations got to learn. Owners, get out the way. And number two, make the coaching staff match up with the selection of a first-round quarterback.
Shaun, do you play fantasy football?
Absolutely.
Will you join the UCSS Fantasy Football League next season?
Absolutely. I love you guys.
Let's go. He's in. We need him.
And see, the one thing I love about this panel is we just converted Bull into a actual better journalist because now he understands
We're about results.
when it comes with evaluating quarterbacks, just listen to King.
See, I feel like, Shaun, I've made you a better analyst. See, that's how I'm looking at it.
Shaun,
Thanks, Shaun.
we love you,
Thanks,
brother.
buddy.
Nah, when you
Happy Thanksgiving.
Come in studio with us.
when
Come
you come
in
in
studio.
when
studio,
you come
when
to
you pulling
Cleveland.
up.
Hey man, just tell Mike and Steve to send the PJ, man. Let's go.
We'll take. Hey, we'll
What
take.
kind of budget you think we have here?
Hey, we'll
We
take.
can't afford fatheads.
We'll take care of
Can't
you.
send a horse and buggy. Will that work?
Bro,
It's cold right now. You have to
Hey,
do that in the
Johnny,
summer, Jay. I'm gonna
we'll take
freeze
care
to
of you.
death.
we'll throw you on a frontier.
Hey, how about this?
Spirit.
Hey guys, I would love. I mean, if it's Frontier or Spirit, I gotta have one of the first row. Get some leg room. I would love to come up and do like a 2 or 3 days in studio with you guys. I would
That
love
would
to
be
do that.
awesome.
Hey, to
We'll make it
everybody on the panel, to everybody in Cleveland, enjoy last Thursday's win. Gonna make you a snow angel. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Tell your family you love them, and let's get ready for a Browns win this weekend.
I love it.
now.
Thanks, Shaun.
Thanks,
Shaun,
Shaun.
you're the
Great
best,
stuff,
man.
man.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother.